Hello friends, welcome to my channel once again. Today we are going to discuss learning. Learning has been one of my super skills or superpowers since childhood, and learning is that kind of thing that no one actually teaches us but has an enormous impact on our life. Well, before I continue, I would like to mention that if you've not watched my first 20-second video on the 7 ways to learn anything faster, please do well to watch because this episode is basically a continuation of that video where I'll be giving an elaboration on the 7 points that I made mention in that video. Also, if you've not yet subscribed to my channel, please do well to click on the subscription button and subscribe. After watching this video, make sure to leave a comment, share, and like. So the first of the 7 ways to learn anything quicker is sharpen the axe. This is actually gotten from a quote by Abraham Lincoln, where he says that when he is given 6 hours to axe down a tree, he will use the first 5 hours to sharpen the axe, then use the next hour to cut down the tree. This actually teaches that in order for us to learn or do any activity faster, then we need to prepare towards that activity. Well, we continue with the second tip, that is using crutches to optimize focus. This basically deals with using or getting a standoff or any activity that helps you to focus on what you are learning. For instance, in order for us to optimize focus while trying to learn anything new, we look for hacks or tools that help us to focus to learn on what we are learning. For instance, if one wants to learn how to play the guitar, one will try to say he will learn playing the guitar while watching the television. And someone will also say he or she will learn playing the piano by also listening to music or watching the television. These hacks actually help us to focus well. There is this rule that generally helps me to go about my activities quicker and help me to learn faster. That's the 5 minutes rule. This rule states that if I have any activity to do that will take me less than 5 minutes to do, then I'll use I'll do the activity within that 5 minutes. By doing this, I am able to learn quicker and faster. Great. So let's move on to tip number 3. Tip number 3 is find opportunities for immersion. There is this great book called OTEHR Learning, written by Scott Young. In this book, he describes how he studies different languages 3 months apart and becoming fluent in that language. Now, the key to learning something great is finding the right environment to learn in. For instance, if I want to learn how to dance, I would prefer on my own to dance in front of the mirror, but dancing is an act that is done in front of the public. Hence, I would have to join a dancing group or something in order for me to learn how to dance faster and quicker, because that environment calls for a situation that I'll be able to see what other dancers are doing and quickly learn some moves from them in order to improve upon my moves. And by so doing, I'll be able to learn faster at dancing. So tip number 4 is to figure out what our weak links are in order for us to improve upon them. For instance, when I first entered university in first year, when we were supposed to take a course in algebra, I saw that algebra is called a 4 credit hour course and it required most of my time. Hence, I had to devote a lot of time to it among all my first year courses. So that was my weak link. And in order for me to improve, I had to take each topic in the course, like algebra, then try to find out that if tomorrow were to be the exams, will I struggle with this topic? Will I be able to answer most of the questions about this topic? Then if the answer is no, I then devote a lot of time to that topic. Then practice, and become good at it. Most often, when we are preparing for an exam, we mostly would like to pick a textbook and say, okay, I'm going to start learning from page 1. So where we pick page 1 of the book, even though we are already familiar with it, we'll be tempted to still study that
But that shouldn't be the case. Most often, we should ask ourselves this question that if tomorrow were to be the exam day, will I be able to answer most of the questions pertaining to topics that you've studied this semester? Will I? If the answer is no, then you look for those topics that you are not too good at. Then you devote a lot of time to them, study, become good at it, then write your exams. This will help you pass your exams successfully. But really, learning occurs or learning really happens when we try to fix our weaknesses and try to operate at a minimum or an appreciable difficulty. Something is too easy, then you're not going to learn anything at all. But in order for us to maximize learning, then we have to hone down to the things that are our weaknesses and improve upon them. This is a way for us to learn faster and easier. Tip number 5 is to test ourselves. Now, this is a term in the world of studying called active recall, but it generally applies to learning anything. Anyway, the idea behind active recall or retrieval practice is that we don't learn by putting stuff into our brain. We actually learn counterintuitively. That is, by taking stuff out of our brain. And so, you might have had this experience that you've read something from a textbook or from a website that in a few days later, someone approaches you and asks you about what you've read from that textbook or the website. We find ourselves that we have completely forgotten about it. This is normal because you have actually not tested yourself about that knowledge, hence the difficulty in trying to remember. The word test has a negative concussion or notion in our minds that of the schools were testing, where we will be judged or marked and looked down upon when we do not perform well in the testing. But we should take testing as a real strategy to help us in improving our learning and everyday life. For instance, when you are preparing for an exams, it doesn't really matter to sit in front of a textbook, read the whole textbook again, and summarize everything and feel you are good. Okay, yeah, today I have studied something and I'm going to write this exam, so I'm going to pass. The best way to do it is that you have to test yourself with sample questions before entering the exam. So this will allow your brain to actually work and think in order for your brain to retrieve any information that you've stored in it, that on the exam day be able to produce what you've learned accurately. And in the field of learning, there is something called the desirable difficulty concept, which basically means something shouldn't be too hard. Where, for example, if I'm to play soccer with Lionel Messi, it will be too difficult for me to do that with Lionel Messi or to test myself with Lionel Messi because his level is far higher than mine. So I would rather go in for a player who is at my level. For instance, a coach. My coach will serve as a difficulty guide. He will be able to adjust to my level and teach me how to play at my level than going for Messi, who is at a higher level than me. So in testing ourselves, we just have to test ourselves with things that are within our level rather than going for high level stuff that will rather downgrade us or discourage us from actually learning what we are learning. Yes. Learning in natural sense is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be hard. So when you are finding difficult learning at something, it means that we are actually learning something. The next step is to get intense feedback as often and as quickly as possible because feedback is one of the ways that we learn faster. So at this moment, make sure or do well to leave me a comment about any questions that you have with this section, and I'll be more than glad to answer all your questions. Please, at this stage, if you've also not subscribed to this channel, please do well to subscribe to the channel, share for others to also see, and like as well. At one moment, we do something, and then when we see that it is wrong, stop or we improve upon it. Feedback is one thing that at times it can be dirty. For some of us that we are emotion massages, when you are trying to do something at first, we like to get a good feedback or a praise, and that's to encourage us to continue what you are doing. But if the feedback we are expecting us doesn't go well for us, we tend to be discouraged and we do not keep up learning. So in giving feedback, we have to know the right feedback to give to each person at times. But as learners, we just have to be prepared for any feedback at all that will be given to us, because this feedback will actually push us to learn more and improve upon our learning than to be discouraged and stop doing whatever we want to do. No matter what we do, the feedbacks will come, but it depends on how we react to the feedback, whether to take it in a positive way or in a good way and improve upon our works, or to take it in a bad way and stop the kind of work that we are doing. So feedbacks are generally an important way for us to improve upon our learning. And the last step for this video is all about spacing. There is something in the world of studying called spaced repetition. Basically, there is a concept discovered by a chap called Ebbinghaus called the forgetting curve, which was discovered in the 1800s, which actually says that when we learn anything, whether a skill or a fact, with time, we are going to forget about it. And that's how our brain works. With time, the skill or fact that we've learned is going to decay. And so we have to keep on testing or practicing on that thing. For example, when you learn a language at age 5 and say for the next 10 years we do not use that language for the next 10 years, it means that our brain is going to forget about it. Yes, and we find it very difficult trying to remember that particular language that we think, because we've not practiced or used that language for a very long time. So our brain has our brain lacks space for that particular thing. So it's no longer in memory. But thankfully, we can combat this forgetting curve using the concept called spaced repetition, which says that when we learn a skill today and we practice it tomorrow, the next week, the next 6 months, we are actually going to have what? The brain is actually going to have what? Space for that particular thing. Hence, that particular thing will be conveyed into memory. And anytime you want to remember, it will be easier and quicker for us to remember, because we have constantly practiced that thing at spaced intervals. Hence, we'll be able to recall when needed. I would also like to give you a bonus tip that we basically know, but we don't normally make use of. That is teaching others what we've learned. Teaching is a way that helps you better understand the concepts that you've read or studied. When you teach others, they ask questions, and these questions will help you to think intuitively. And also by doing that, you are able to examine yourself, understand the concept, or then you become a master of that concept. Yeah. So basically, you are supposed to teach others what you've learned. Also, it's another way of learning faster and quicker. Well, we've come to the end of today's episode, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do also leave your comments in the comment section. Do also share this video for others to also see. And if you like this video very much, please give me a thumbs up and like this video. Thank you for watching.